Well, today we have Sammy Gahagan on. I'm very excited for the Montreal Alouettes. I am famously an Elks fan, but after many of the comments they've made this week regarding the XFL things, and we have a lot of friends of the show on the Alouettes, so maybe we'll be switching brand allegiances here. Sammy, thank you so much for coming on. First off, how are you doing? I know you're on the road.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm actually home now, so that's good. I start my busy season coming up here in the next month and a half or so. So I'm enjoying the little bit of free time. Well, the little bit of last of the free time. We finally can start working and getting out there. So it's I'm excited to get moving and get out on the road and see all my colleagues and do all that kind of stuff. So it's exciting.
So, I mean, what's the last couple of months been like for you? I mean, you're obviously a scout trying to do all this, we don't really know what's going on. I mean, what's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been different. I went from being on the road, when I was with Saskatchewan and BC, I was on the road August. I was gone every weekend until pretty much end of January. I'm always traveling to schools and visiting and games and all-star games and weeks. And, it's been different sitting home and having to, watch film. And I'm an evaluator. I like to be in person. I'm not a big film guy. I like to see everything in person. I like to, body type things. And, I write pretty descriptive reports. So I like to be out there and seeing kids. And it's been tougher for a guy like me, per se, that has to sit home and now watch film and decide whether or not a guy's good or not, or has the ability to play in our league. So it's been a challenge, but, it's slowly gotten back to normalcy as much as we can, I guess, at this point. I live in Florida, and I tell everybody, I don't think COVID came here, man. We've been full go since this thing started. So, a lot of people have a lot more restrictions than we do. And I just been kind of Floridians just sit here and just say, COVID didn't come to Florida, man. We've just been keep moving, so it's challenging, but we're getting back to normal. So that's good.
When you're looking for players, for CFL teams, are there specific things because of the league there, because of the way the rules run, because of the size of the fields and things that you're looking at compared to maybe it would be for another league?
Yeah, so as we've got a ratio. So there's some positions that we don't use, because I'm in the U.S., I'm in the States. So some positions are designated already for Canadian spots. So there's a lot of positions I don't even evaluate. I don't even look at them. There's some that I do that we don't carry, because sometimes I'll look at, like, for instance, tight ends. We don't use tight ends usually as Americans, but I'll look at tight ends to see if I can flip one to defensive end. So I watch their movements. I try to see athletic ability. I don't spend a lot of time on it. If it doesn't flash at me, I don't spend a lot of time on it, to be honest with you, while I'm at a game or walking around pre-game evaluating and body typing. So there's a lot of positions I don't even look at. I don't look at fullbacks. I don't look at interior linemen unless it flashes that I think they can move outside. So it's different, and it's crazy because I'm with all NFL scouts that are in the box with me or on the field with me, and they're always telling me, hey, you got to look at this guy. And I'm like, it sounds good. He won't fit in what we do. So, it's different. I tell people we evaluate different. I'm not looking at the first round pick. I'm looking at the guy that's a fringe free agent guy, late round pick. I don't spend a lot of time on, Tua, and those kinds of players and Josh Fields and I just don't, so I live on the, like I always tell people my biggest claim to fame was Toby Antigua and Kyron Moore, and Kyron was, I didn't even go there looking for Kyron, to be honest with you, but he had a great game in front of me, and the rest is what it is. We gave him an opportunity, and he's doing what he's doing in the league now. So.
Yeah, CFL News that helps me kind of, who are some people we should talk to? They had wanted to make sure that you got the Kyron Moore story out there. They said that there was a good, interesting tidbit about that.
Yeah. So I was at the UCF. So they weren't even supposed to play Austin Peay. Something happened, and UCF had I think a hurricane had come in. They had lost the game. They were looking for a game late. It just happened to be Austin Peay said, hey, we'll take that game. And so Austin Peay came to UCF. It was during the UCF national title season. So Austin Peay came in. And Coach Jones, I was working for Saskatchewan at the time. And Coach Jones, I said, hey, I'm going to go see Austin Peay. He said, hey, man, I'm friends with Coach Healy, who's the head coach there now, who's now at Charlotte, I believe now. He said, if you go on the field and you go on there and tell him, that you work for me, and tell him, him and I know each other. So I'm pre-gaming. I see Coach Healy. I go up to him, introduce myself, tell him who my boss is. And he's running me down through these players. And then he goes, hey, man, by the way, there's a kid out here, number 4, Kyron Moore. I think he was hurt or something, and he hadn't done much at that time. And that season, and he's like, just watch this kid, he's special. So I walked over to him, and I was in body type, and I'm like, another 5'8", 5'9" receiver who's, in our, we always say as scouts in the CFL, we can find those anywhere. So I was like, all right, I wrote him down quickly. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, to be honest with you, and that's just the honest truth of it, because he had some other guys I was thinking that I could look at, and I was there to looking at honestly at the UCF kids anyway. So I'm in the booth, and I have Danny McManus sitting next to me, who's an assistant general manager. And I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, but, we have a neg list in our league where you can, put kids on the neg list and protect them. I don't have that. I was just like my second year in. I didn't have access to that list or anything. So I had a channel. I had to call somebody, and he had to call somebody. Like, it was a 4-person channel to get somebody placed on that list for me. So we get up to the booth, and I'm sitting next to Danny, who can just text it in from his phone. We can email it right in. So we're sitting there, and I just remember Kyron I just remember his first play, he took a kickoff back, and he almost took it to the house on his first one. And I was like, oh, God, who's this? And now my binoculars are on this kid, number 4. I'm watching him almost every play. So I kind of take my phone out, and I just kind of turn to the side because Danny was to my left, and Danny's a good friend of mine. And I just kind of turned over, and I just started texting Coach Jones. And I said, and I kept writing 911. Put this kid on now. I go, Danny McManus is right next to me. He's looking at the same thing. I'm like, just do it. And I just kept 911, 911. I must have sent it 15 times before I got a reply. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And that's how we got him. So we put him on the neg list. And then I got his phone number like a month later. I shot him a text, and I said, hey, man, we'd be interested in working you out. And can you get to, he's from Bessemer, Alabama. He was living, we had a workout in Montgomery. And I said, our head coach wants to see you. He went to the workout, and he was the best guy there. And he's Kyron Moore. He's Swerve now. he was tiny in college, and they named him Swerve. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Duron Carter who named him Swerve at Saskatchewan, and that's how he's known now throughout the league. And he's an awesome kid, man. To be honest with you, not only is he a great player, which is awesome, but he's a phenomenal kid. I mean, it's just he's always got a smile. He's just so excited to be there, man. He's just one of those kids you want him to do well because he's just so excited to be there. I don't think he'll ever understand his true value and his true worth just because he's so humble. But, man, he's just a great kid. I love it. We still talk. He'll call me. He'll text me, how you doing? Always messaging me, if he sees something on social media. Just a great kid, man. He's just a really great kid. So I was happy that it worked out for him.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you got to make sure we get that on there. That's 911. Talk about, and you mentioned a little bit about, you like to be in person, not a big, tape person. How challenging was it, especially with the layoff, with all the crazy stuff that happened, with the drafts and players and, all the different craziness leading into this year compared to other years with scouting for the CFL?
Yeah, I mean, I had, believe it or not, I had to call Coach Jones, and because to be honest with you, I don't do a lot of film evaluation. I'm an in-person guy. I go to schools, I do visits. And then, when we were with Coach Jones, we were doing so many workouts for free agents that we would always see guys. And Chris was actually he's kind of, was my mentor as far as looking and evaluating. And if you ask anybody in the league, he's one of the best. So I had a really good coach. Between him and Mike Davis being, together, and Mike and I have been friends for a long time as well. When I first came into that thing, all I knew was going and seeing kids. So I don't like to do a lot of film because I'm a football player. I played football. I've been in the grind. I understand what it's like. And, I just feel like I got to see, I have to have my eyes. And Chris was the same way. He's like, I got to see him. And there was times where I would call him and say, hey, this is a guy. He's like, dude, we got to see him first. And he wouldn't move on a kid unless he saw him in person. So I kind of adopted that kind of mentality where I got to see him. I got to see him in person because I can't tell you how many emails we get or texts we get all the time from either players or agents. They're all 6'2", they're all 220, and they all run 4.4s. So it's important for us, to say, hey, we got to start seeing these guys and timing them and measure them ourselves. So, after my first year at Saskatchewan, those guys never went to pro days. So, after the first year, I told, they didn't pay me to go either. I just said, I said, Chris, hey, I'm just going to go, man, because I feel like it's a good opportunity for me to go and be around the NFL guys and listen. He said it was my first year in scouting. I said, but also I can, get to see these kids in person. Well, let me tell you, I went to my first year. I did, I think, 4 pro days in the state of Florida. I just went to 4, and I got so much information. We ended up having workouts. I ended up getting my first workout for Chris in a free agent workout. I had probably 50 to 100 kids here. And it was all from the information I got from those pro days. After that year, I told Chris started paying me. And the next year I did 24 pro days in almost 30 days. So I drove to Atlanta. I had a hub in Atlanta. I stayed in my family's place in Atlanta. I drove to Nashville, and I just worked my way back to Florida. And I hit 24 schools in 30 days. And just evaluating, measuring. So we had all our own numbers. I was putting everything into the computer. We had everything we needed, contact. They were so powerful. So that's another thing that we used to do. And I just told Chris, man, because I don't know. I'm not a good evaluator of film. Like I can't, honestly, I don't know if my attention span or something just doesn't allow me to sit here and do this. That's why I was never a good coach. I never claimed to be a good coach. I'm a visual guy, man. I like to see it and touch it. I'm tangible, and that's just how I do it.
No, I love it. And fascinating and the work and everything that goes into that, right? To really, to first year and to do all that. I mean, it shows. And obviously, the players that you attract and find could be diamonds in the rough for people that maybe you wouldn't get a look at otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Toby Antigua is a great example of that. It's talking about a guy who was a receiver his whole life, a receiver. Never even sniffed the defensive side of the ball. We're at a workout. There was about 9 guys there. And there was I think 4 offensive linemen, one of which after that workout got signed by the Green Bay Packers, and we had no defensive linemen. So after Toby's workout, he didn't run very well for some reason. He did, he had an okay workout, but we weren't going to sign him as a receiver. So Coach Jones says, "Hey, I need somebody to rush the passer." And Toby's like, "Hey, I'll do it." Just puts his hand in the ground, goes up against a guy who just went and started games right after that for the Green Bay Packers and dusted him. And literally the first rep, he just dusted him. Coach and I were standing behind the defensive line. We both look at each other, and Coach goes, "Man, you can't teach that kind of pass rush, man." And I said, "Dude, that's unbelievable." He's like, "He's playing out of the – because I do a great Coach Jones impression." He goes, "Man, he's playing out of position, man. He's a defensive end." I said, so he's like, after the workout, he told Toby, he goes, "Hey, put on 30 pounds, come back and see me in a month, and I'll work you out as a defensive end." And boom. Toby Antigua, Rookie of the Year.
One of the reasons I'm excited to talk to you about the Alouettes, it's weird for us, getting into this podcast, covering these leagues, right? We cover the spring league, we cover fan control football, all these different things. And then when some of the players that have been on the show, friends of the show, go on, I know that we have Cole Booser, formerly the XFL. He played in the spring league this year, been on the show. Matt Mengel, spring league as well. I know they're both, obviously in quarantine right now, going into training camps. You said you're familiar with both of those players a little bit. Thoughts on either one of them? Because it is when they announced the signings, they were heading up there, so excited for us, just as, obviously it's like our little babies, we're sending off.
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you, I know who the guys are, and I know Mengel was the coach of the staff here really liked him. He was a guy that they really wanted, and not just like 5 minutes ago. I think they've had their eye on him for a while. So I know that they were super excited to get him. I tried my hardest. I have some other kickers, but the thing that separates him is he does both. And so in our league, you have to kick and have to punt because we don't keep one and the other usually unless they're Canadian. But if you're an American kicker and you can do both things, kick and punt and kick off, you could write your own ticket in our league, but he's good at it, and he was a name that they were really excited about bringing him in and seeing what he could do. So I'm excited to see how he fares, and I know he had a good spring league, so I know the staff is pretty excited that he's there, and they can't wait to see him compete. And then Booser, offensive lineman, I think he's from Temple, right? So my brother actually coached a kid in high school that went to Temple and played with him. So I've been watching Temple football for a long time now, probably the last I would say 10 years, I've been secretly a big Temple, Al, follower. And I always, believe it or not, every time Temple comes down here to play either UCF or USF, that's a game I always throw on the schedule just because I'm secretly a Temple guy. I've seen him play as well, and he's another one. He's athletic and big, and those guys, he fits exactly what we're doing. And not for nothing, with all the retirements happening, and we don't know how it's going to go, day to day, we're getting a surprise. So, guys like that who just come in and think that they're just a camp guy or think they have an opportunity, now they really have a legit chance because, guys are, they're just choosing another path right now. So, I think he's going to do well, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on that roster. But, all we can do is give them the opportunity. It's up to them at that point. Once they get there, it's all about them.
Absolutely. We cover obviously spring league, a lot of these things, and the narrative is always, there's only so many spots in the NFL, CFL, these other leagues giving players the opportunity, right? Getting some more tape. Talk about the value, if any, of having the spring league and things to be able to, get that tape and that watch those reps that maybe the players wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, I think anytime you have an opportunity to get the camera on you, I think it's a great, it could be in the spring league, could be in the, IFL, whatever, it just, for me, it's all about, being able to have people see you play, whether it's on film or in person. So anytime you can take an opportunity to do that, I always think it's great because we always tell people you only need one person to like you. There's 32 NFL teams. You only need one guy to like you. There's 9 of us. You only need one to like you. So, any chance you can get, and sometimes a lot of kids don't want it because I think in the spring league, you got to pay. And a lot of kids just, agents they shy away from it because, the agent is I always tell people agency it's a business. So agents are in the business of making money. They're not into losing. And sometimes they don't want to pay. And a lot of kids don't have that opportunity. That's why in our league, though, the free agent camps are huge. And I think that's a good thing that we provide for those kids is another opportunity to get in front of a lot of people. But the spring league for sure has been great, man. I think they've signed a ton of people and they've signed kids to the NFL. And don't get me wrong, there's, far and few between. There's not a lot of kids that are signing, but a lot of kids are getting their opportunities, and that's because they've taken the chance and they've bet on themselves. And that was one thing that Chris always taught me, these kids bet on themselves, man. If they want to come work out for me, they can do it and they'll have an opportunity just like everybody else. So, I hope they keep it up, the CFL is, we're going into our 108th, 108 this year. We're going to be around for a while, man. So, a lot of people, it's so funny. A lot of people think that, I can just go to the CFL, but no, you can't just go to the CFL, man. I've been around Coach Jones where I was with him when we worked out Terrell Owens on the field. Like we worked out T.O. to work out to play for us. And he didn't sniff it. I mean, he's told first round draft picks, no, thank you before in the NFL. So, we're competitive and, we just like the NFL, we look for the best. So if you're the best at what you do, we're going to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, I was looking here. I was talking Derek Dennis online earlier, kind of going back and forth, talking about some of the problems, and I obviously want to get into the XFL stuff here at the end, but this perception that maybe the CFL has allowed for a while that their players maybe aren't as good, right? And they haven't marketed them as such, even though they are. Why do you think that is, and why do you think it hasn't been taken care of and kind of been perpetuated?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, to be honest. That'll probably be an age-old question that never really has an answer to it. We're as competitive as the next. I mean, shit. We just had Alex Singleton go and just dominate in the NFL. Sammy Gahagan a year ago is another one. I mean, we could go down the list. Jarrell Freeman's a Canadian guy. Delvin Breaux. I mean, we can, like I said, we can go Deion Lacey. If I sat here, I could just rattle off names in the last 5 years of guys that have come to our league and then gone to the NFL. And Sammy Gahagan's a great. He never went to the NFL. He came right to Canada, and then boom, 2 years in or 3 years in, and right to the Miami Dolphins. So, I don't know. I always told people Canada for me was a place you could either rehab your image, rehab your injury, and get film. But I also say it's a great place to come up there, and you can have a phenomenal career and make good money and be successful and set yourself up down the line. And it's good football. I mean, Yeah, you see it. I mean, we put it out. We're probably Nate Holley. I'm not all the names are popping in my head now. Like we continually put 10, 15, 16, 20 guys in the NFL every year. So, or at least they're getting opportunities. So I don't know why they think that. I mean, we have great. Derek Dennis was phenomenal. He's another Temple guy, if I'm not mistaken. We just got good players, man. It's as competitive as the next league, as far as I'm concerned.
So, obviously, and I did at least want to get your thoughts on this today. News of the week, right? The XFL, CFL, merger that's not a merger. Thoughts on that, reactions before we let you go.
Yeah, I got to be careful here. So, I think the CFL. We have enough to worry about right now in our own league. So, we've had a tough time getting on the field. So, I'm actually kind of glad the distraction's gone for me. I think it's time that we focus on our own league at this point. We're trying to, this kind of came about and,
it's okay. Yeah, you're good. I mean, you can say what you feel. Say what you feel. I don't. Yeah, I take
it. Wish it was that easy. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad the distraction's gone. I'm glad we can focus on the CFL and get our league going, get our fans, excited about football again, and they're going to be so excited. To be honest, and the league it's a great league, man, and. Our fan base is so strong, and they can't wait, and I can't wait. I mean. We become fans now, even as personnel guys, because we haven't been on the field in almost. We're going to go on a year and a half now. So, I'm glad. Like I said, it would have been nice to have more. With that, it created more jobs. It would have done a lot of stuff that way. But our focus in the CFL should be on the CFL at this point, trying to get ourselves on the field and play ball. And I think that's what we're doing right now. And we got a target for August 5th, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I've been, obviously reading a lot of opinions and stuff from a lot of journalists the last, day and a half now. And it does feel like for every set, and I know that a lot of our listeners or XFL fans are frustrated too, right? That maybe time could have been spent elsewhere. Yeah. But, I think it raised the interest in everything. I mean, it certainly gave us a lot to talk about for the last 4 months. So,
this is going to be the third time the XFL's trying to fire up here. So, I mean, how much more, how much more can they try to do? I mean, it'd be great if we had and I don't think the CFL, a lot of people say CFL is a developmental league. It's not a developmental league at all. It's a bona fide league that's been here longer than the NFL. It's not going anywhere. So, but the spring league, whatever, I think if the football could find a way to have a AAA or a farm system of players that you could just go and find guys that are, there's so many players walking on the street right now that can't get an opportunity for whatever reason. If they could figure out a way how to do that, and make a partnership with the CFL and the NFL to go and get players out of there. So these guys are constantly playing, I think that would be great, but like I said, third time you're trying to fire up. I don't know what else can you do in this XFL. I don't know.
Oh, and I mean, believe me, because I don't have a horse in the race, right? I mean, at this point now, we've kind of been there, but even like yesterday, they updated like the Twitter handle, and now it's XFL 2023, right? Because it was XFL, and it's like. Okay, well, do they have 2024 going? Do they have 2025? I'm like, we got. I mean, because I get it too. I'm like, this is getting a little scary. It's getting a little worse.
And listen, they got a lot of people that were interested. I mean, I thought that when it originally came out, I thought it was going to be a good, big hit. So for whatever reason, this thing can't stay, on the track for whatever reason, and hopefully they can get it together. Everybody loves football, so anytime you can have football on the field and quality players, it's great. Think about back when Rocket Ismail was coming out and he came to the CFL rather than go to the NFL. I mean, that did so much for the Canadian football game. And then think about all the players that came to Canada after that. I mean, you had Doug Flutie, Danny McManus, Warren Moon, Ricky Williams came. I mean, all these big names came up to Jeff Garcia, another big one came up there. And, if they can find a way to get that done, I think people will follow. So we'll see what happens. I wish them luck. And, like I said, I love to see football on the field. So we'll see what happens there.
Any thoughts on the USFL relaunch that was just announced?
Yeah, no, I mean, when they get on the field, that'd be great. I don't know too much about the USFL other than I used to have their set of cards back in the day with Herschel Walker and those guys, and I actually have the whole set, the original USFL set of cards. And I always say, and my brother owns it, but I always say it's mine. So we have that set. That's the only thing I know. So I used to try to sneak that Herschel Walker card out of there all the time, and he used to come after me after that. But that's all I got for that.
Well, Sammy, I'm so glad we could do this. Like I said, obviously there's players that we've tracked in kind of a bunch of different leagues, but a bunch of different teams. But I'm glad, especially with the Alouettes, we get you on. I'm going to have my eyes peeled at all the kind of social media here through training camps and kind of make sure what's going on. Anything else before we let you go?
Man, we're excited, man. We ended 2019 very strong, and we were excited for 2020. We got a lot of the nucleus back. We picked up a lot of good guys in free agency, so we're ready to go, man. The Owls are going to be pretty good this year, and we can't wait to show everybody what we're doing, and hopefully we can bring the cup to Montreal, and that's our focus. And I'm excited to see our guys go after it, and hopefully Vernon and Kahari can take us to the next level, which I believe we can. And like I said, we finished strong in 19, and we're going to continue to build on that. So. It's not a Toronto's East like everybody thinks. So I just want that to be said.
That's good. I like
not Toronto or Hamilton. The Owls are coming back. I promise.
That's good. Well, Sammy, thank you so much again. We're looking forward to this season, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad that we can get you on here, kind of, and we'll see. Maybe we'll have to call you back here depending on how the Alouettes are doing this year. We'll get you back on.
Hopefully, I don't look stupid at the end of this. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks.